I'm here today joined by Milad from Sendcloud, who will introduce himself shortly, and Radu, who's an entrepreneur for Home Deco Plus. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, please.
Does this work? Yeah, that's nice. Cool, my name is Milad. I work now for Sendcloud, a shipping platform company from the Netherlands. Started 5 years ago. Currently we are with 400 people. I'm mainly focusing on shipping and delivery experience for online retailers. And this is what I do with a team of 5. Currently we are focusing on the enterprise segment, as we call it. So the upper segment of e-commerce market in Europe.
Thank you. My name is Radu. I'm the CEO and founder of Home Deco Plus. We're an e-commerce website in Romania and potentially in the Southeastern Europe market. And we just started off in July. We have high numbers by now, and we're here to learn more about how to go the last mile. And I'm kind to join you today.
Excellent, thank you, Radu. So the topic today is what a scalable shipping process looks like that responds to customer expectations. Going back 7 years when I first started selling into this market, supply chain tech solutions, it was still very much about the operational backbone. So optimizing carrier choice from a warehouse perspective, ROI to do with primarily operational matters. CMOs and other decision makers and retailers were far more concerned about platform selection. Much more front end type of considerations. Supply chains definitely come to the fore as a massive differentiator of customer experience. Do you want to just comment generally about things that move the needle for your customers and your customers in terms of offering better choice?
Yeah. So maybe an interesting thing. Last year we did a research on consumers with 8,000 consumers in Europe. And the main thought actually of our research was what are actually consumers looking for when it comes to checkout experience, right? It's not only selecting carriers and making labels and shipping them out, but what are the needs of these consumers, especially in local markets, because we see quite a difference there. So we did it this year, we did it last year, and we saw some big differences as well. And one of the main things that we see is increasing is the choice of flexibility in carriers, not per se like carrier options, but as well as certain shipping methods. So that a customer or consumer can decide based on preference if they want to have a parcel delivered next day or a specific time frame or in the evening, for instance, is getting more and more important. And first it was mainly what we saw in Benelux. It was quite popular. But all the remaining other countries, the bigger countries like France or Spain, theirs get more and more important as well. Maybe an interesting fact on numbers is that, for instance, nominated day to decide on which day you want to deliver a certain parcel. Around 50% of the consumers actually in the Netherlands are looking for that kind of option. So if you offer that option in your checkout, the chances of your conversion going up and customers actually proceeding on the basket increases. And this is what we see more and more actually. We didn't expect to see it in other countries, but there it's getting more popular as well.
Excellent. Ready.
Well, about our kind of delivery, everybody asks me every day, will you become a marketplace? And I tell them no, because in my country there is a big marketplace, and I always looked at the delivery quality, and it's differentiated between what the main firm has and what the partners on the marketplace have, because that is what a marketplace means in our part of the world. So you sell on marketplace, but you have your own fulfillment. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to have higher quality standards on premises in our own warehouse. And yesterday I was the guys at DPD held a conference over here, and we were all wondering if the consumer will go back to the high street when the pandemic is over. And I raised my hand and said, this is all about us, e-commerce retailers. If we proceed and have higher quality standards and give them more to the customer, they will stay here. If not, they'll lose them. We'll lose them because they have been buying on the high street for years. What we have increased numbers over the pandemic, but if we don't raise our standards, we'll lose them. We'll lose this jump that we had during the pandemic. Yes, and about the main thing, we were discussing before the debate. We placed a thing on our website with delivery on Saturday. And we thought it as an option for Friday. So if you deliver on Friday, well, if you order on Friday, you can get it on Saturday. And the main surprise was that people were ordering on Monday, on Friday, on Thursday, every day of the week, and they were clicking on deliver me on Saturday. And we had orders from the whole week that should be delivered on Saturday. So giving customers the opportunity to choose is also better than thinking that you know better than the customer. Nobody knows better than the customer.
Fantastic. And I mean, you said when we first met, you have some unique initiatives to provide quite a hands-on approach with your end customers as a furniture retailer or digital furniture retailer.
We're not only furniture. The idea is to get in our store as many suppliers as we can that have goods that are needed inside the house. So we have washing machines, fridges, and so on, but that's not the point. The point is that we have shifted from offline to online. And that means also shifting services. If in an offline store you find someone who will ask you, what are you searching for? How much bigger is the room that you're gonna get this fridge into? What colors do you have in your kitchen? We should do that in online as well, and it's costly. It's lengthy, it's very painful sometimes, but it gives results. Let's say, let me just get into figures. We're having a chat on a chat support on our. We thought of it as a chat support. It's sales support on our website, and 7 out of 10 conversations link to upsell and cross-sell. 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And that's just because our guys are really consultative, and they talk to the customer. They send they say I don't know how to put it. I don't know what to consult you with what you want to buy, but send me a photo of your kitchen or of your room that you want to decorate, and I'll have some ideas over there. And that's costly. Yeah, but customers are loving it, because if you go to big retailers, in our country or around our country, you can't have that. But in an offline store, as big or as little as it can be, you'll find this. And for us, that's the main thing, translating the offline experience in an online experience. And that's why we're investing in AR technologies, so that in the future you will be able to place all our products in your house to see how it's like when you will have it there.
It's really interesting. So because most retailers talk about customer service as a post-purchase thing, but what you're actually saying is you've been investing into the sales process, which obviously increases your cost of customer acquisition, but also increases the basket values as well. You're selling more product?
Yes, and we had here some ideas. Most of it, if it's above 100 euros, you get free transport, whatever it is. And that increased the basket value, and therefore, if there is nothing you can sell. There are things you don't know to sell, but there is nothing you can sell, and that's why I'm telling the sales team every day, if you push, the customers will buy, because their ability to be happy depends if they buy or not. That's why they're working, so that they can buy things.
Yeah, I have a question for you as well, Radu. So what you actually said previously as well of this session was that currently you're active then in Romania. You want to expand to other Eastern European countries. Now you have your whole sales team, of course, having these conversations with your customers. But let's say you would expand to another country where you don't have the local people, right? What would be like kind of conversion boosters that you would add, for instance, in that purchasing experience and the checkout, actually to get them over the line, actually to let them have that purchase.
That's the oldest trick in the book. Well, everybody gets me with this question, but how are you gonna scale up the process? And I'm just telling this: I cannot scale up quickly enough. I cannot scale up quickly enough because I need the same process that gave me success where I am. So if I get out tricks and the checkout form and everything, well, that's something that everybody can do. But teaching sales in that language and delivering excellence, because one of our managers is excellence delivery manager, yeah, delivering excellence for the customer, that's hard. That's how creating a system, not creating for me, it's about creating a system, not about just creating some options in the checkout form. Yeah, it's more than that.
More personal touch as well? No?
Yes.
Microphones.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Please.
So more of the personal touch as well.
Yes, more of a personal touch, yeah.
We need to, because it's being recorded,
Sorry.
if you don't speak into the microphone, they can't hear
They
you.
hear it.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's why. All right. With the with two-man delivery, so obviously furniture delivery is a very, very specific thing. My wife has a home staging business. We've had some absolute horror stories. You know, they're partnered with a white glove delivery service called White Glove Gentleman. So she does B2B version of what you do. You know, an investment property or someone selling their house that needs a full furniture pack on the inside. They walk in, they basically procure all the product, deliver it, uninstall, take away all the waste. So it can be quite quite an intense and very large basket values. But the selection of that delivery partner was probably one of the most painful experiences in that journey. So I guess, how do you replicate having a reliable delivery partner in Romania and then also Czech Republic and also Hungary, etc. What process do you think you're going to have to go through to find a reliable delivery partner?
Well, it's the same question as how do you succeed? I don't know how to succeed, but I know I have a recipe for how I succeeded this time. Mm-hmm. So I did a very basic thing. I went on and talked to all the carriers in my country. And I talked to all the national sales manager. I welcomed them in my office, give them a coffee, and told them, guys, this is it. This is what I have to do. And I don't care how much are you gonna nag about this, because you're gonna nag, all of you. So now, who is going to do this? And whoever speaks first loses. And I was like, I tried all of them. Mm-hmm. I integrated all of them into our website. We have contracted most of them because we need backup. And because we don't have many orders per day, but they're very bulky. They're very bulky. They take very much space. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was the main thing. Selection comes. You cannot select a carrier with your eyes closed without seeing the quality of the delivery service, and not just the delivery service. Because I was talking to a manager in the GLS the other day, and he told me getting a parcel, a 1 kilogram parcel from A to B is the same thing with everybody, but the difference is made by the feedback, by the app, but what the app gets out through API into your website, about reporting to your customers and back to you, about how they chat with you when there's a problem. That's the difference. And that's how we select the carriers. And that's how we select partners, generally speaking. That's
interesting. So by being much closer with your customer, yes. you actually have a direct feedback loop.
Not only with our customers, but with us. So the customer doesn't care. Potentially, they don't care who will deliver the parcel. They just care if it is delivered. And if they have something they want to ask, they'll first ask us. So we need to have data. We need to have information.
Yep.
And that is how we select a partner.
Yeah, Milad's
I want to add something to this, and I partly agree with you, but I partly disagree as well. This is a debate, right?
Yeah. Mate, you're sponsoring the session. You can say whatever you want.
What I definitely agree with, especially, even if you are not shipping that much of a volume, right? But when it's like super voluminous and you ship a lot of parcels, having some data automized, like status updates for your customers, that they know what's happening with a parcel, for instance, if it's delayed or when it will be delivered on another day, right? Having the right insights to actually answer the question of your customer without them contacting you will save actually a lot of time as well, where you can actually have the right time to give the right service instead of answering these super simple questions. And a part what I don't actually agree with, Radu, is that customers do actually care about which carriers they have. To give you an example, right? I live in an apartment. There are a couple of carriers active in my neighborhood. If I'm in a checkout for a certain store and it's a product that I can buy in multiple stores, but I see if they deliver it with carrier X, like the one that I'm not happy to use, I don't use it because I had a couple of bad experiences where they leave the parcel in the lift or at the front door where people stole it a couple of times. So preference of the customer, maybe, I don't know if it's in Eastern Europe, right? But in West Europe, the preference of customers for carriers is quite important, and I believe this will get more and more important. Maybe you want like sustainable carriers, right, or green delivery options, these kind of options. I think if the customer has the option to choose it, they will definitely choose the preference that they have.
So we'll talk about that in a second, I think. But I actually agree with you. So through COVID, I think we're averaging maybe 2 or 3 deliveries per day. Like a rampant consumer household, especially between my wife and the nanny. A lot of apparel products, etc. And there is a very clear distinction in the quality of drivers based on how much they're paid. And I mean, I got reprimanded yesterday for mentioning specific carrier names, so I'm not going to do that. But there are some low-cost carriers in the UK that are very prevalent, very prevalent in the next day fashion space. And then, you compare the experience you get with those drivers compared to, say, for example, an Ocado. They tend to pay the people really well. The drivers are happy. You're happy to have them in your home. They remove the plastic waste. And that raises an interesting point. We're talking about the ethics and morals of not just sustainable delivery, but also appropriately paying drivers. So I guess the question is the customer willing to pay for that difference?
Are you willing to pay? Let's
No.
say you no. This is actually quite interesting as well, because to go back to that research that we did, and these are my thoughts, by the way, as well. Like what we see on that research is that sustainable delivery, for instance, or green delivery is getting super popular. Like more than 70% of the people that did that, filled in that research, were cheering actually for sustainable delivery. But just a small fraction of those same people actually were willing to pay extra to get it delivered with that. So I believe as well in sustainable and green delivery, but if people are not willing to pay extra for it, it's quite hard. Especially I think in the short future, but maybe on long term it can get a little bit cheaper.
I just like to add something to this delivery thing. So everybody is saying that they want a specific driver, and that's not a systemic problem. That's not about the system. And as entrepreneurs and as e-commerce manager, we're talking about the system. And I was talking 2 weeks ago with the national sales manager of our carrier, and he was nagging and saying, "Oh, they're paid so little, and they're so upset every time." And I looked at him and said, "Pay them more." That's the whole thing. Yes, but it's going to reflect in your costs. So what? Mm-hmm. The customer is going to pay more to have a better service. Mm-hmm. That's it. It all ends here. What's that bad?
So you're trying to influence your carriers to pay their drivers better?
Yes. And
great.
He got me a meeting with their CEO. And what do you have to say? Pay them more. It's that simple.
Did you succeed?
Yes.
Great.
They raised my prices.
That's very cool.
Yes, but now I told them like this, and we had there we went on to the contractual thing. Okay, you raise my prices. You're saying you're paying them more, and I'll have an SPS on every single delivery. And if I find 10 out of 100, if they're not satisfied, we're gonna be in trouble.
I think yours is an especially sensitive topic because you're talking about bulky products fundamentally. If a certain delivery driver or a certain delivery company in the UK drops a parcel or throws a piece of apparel through my mailbox, I mean I don't particularly care. I really don't. But I had a really bad experience once with a specific merchant that delivered a barbecue to my house. I think I told you the story before. We spent 70 odd pounds on like premium delivery, and the driver was a bit upset that day. My wife was pregnant. Driver was upset, and to them delivery was curbside. But this is like 160, 180 kilo delivery. I can't take this in the house on my own. And I had an argument with this guy because he's having a bad day because he isn't getting paid enough, right? So eventually they brought it into my home, but it makes a huge difference in the service,
yes,
right?
That is what I'm telling. And when I have discussions with carriers around Europe and right here, I'm telling they always also go to the price. We have the better price. We can give you discounts, and I don't care. Do your job as you're supposed to do, and we'll pay, because you cannot have a quality delivery service without paying for it. And someone is gonna pay. Someone is going to pay. But if we pay, we must know what we pay for. Reduction of costs, okay, it is a corporate thing, it is a business thing, reduction of costs for higher profits. But what are we cutting? We're cutting, if we cut from the driver's salary and from the delivery costs, we're cutting quality. And I think, at least for my business, quality is not negotiable.
I mean, how's Sendcloud supporting retailers with measuring and implementing quality delivery services?
On multiple phases, but I have one question that I actually want to ask Radu, and then I will come back to your point. So what you just said as well, like, okay, pay these drivers more. I don't know if this is applicable for every retailer here, right? Some people just don't sell like these kind of high margin products. But shipping cost wise, right? Do you offer always free shipping, or is it from a certain threshold, or how do you manage that actually then?
Well, about the free shipping, it depends from day to day. When you have promotions, it's free. With some baskets, it's free, and so on. But I know where you want to go. If we afford it, how will the customer afford it when we don't pay it? Well, they will, because we're not alone on the market. And we base our feeling on that, because we're not alone. We know how the others do their jobs, and it's not just that we have bulky products that gives us the empowerment to talk to the carriers and say, well, pay people more, give us better prices, but better for you, not for us. It's the volume. And what some e-commerce companies don't get is that volume don't only gives you the empowerment to lower prices, gives you the empowerment to go higher with quality. And that is what we're doing. Yeah, okay, we have bulky product. We have some problems there because they're manipulating it with two men, and they don't have enough technology in their warehouses, and sometimes we pay for that technology and have partnerships. But delivering is why we have e-commerce. Yeah, and quality is not negotiable.
Yeah. Thanks, man. To come back to your question as well, Darko. So how we help our customers? Maybe I can give an example of one of our customers. This customer, they were mainly selling smartphone cases in the Benelux. They were super strong, but they had like an insane way of offering quality to their customers and good service, not only in shipping and the speed of delivery, but as well in service in terms of sales, etc. So they wanted to scale, but one of the main issues they had was copying the exact same service that they offered in the Benelux as well to Germany and then to France and to Spain, right? And they came to us mainly for the shipping aspect, but as well to the consumer facing and consumer experience aspect and the checkout. The biggest fear that they had was like, hey, Milad, I don't want to go to a German carrier or a French carrier, negotiate all these contracts, implement all these carriers, and then in the end that the carrier is not something that we don't like, right? We want to have flexibility to experiment. So how we helped this customer, for instance, was we offered them the way to experiment for a couple of months with our carriers to check if these carriers would be like interesting for their customers, but as well for them actually to work with. In every country, they experimented with a couple of carriers, and based on that, they decided for a long-term contract directly with the carrier. So partly we advise them, but partly we give them as well the freedom and the flexibility actually to test different kind of carriers and certain niche carriers in different countries with the local services. And based on that, actually, they grow and they offer certain options and services to their own local customers in the countries.
And how do you do that? How do you do that? So they're entering. So Radu's entering a new market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he goes to Sendcloud. He says, right, who do you have in that market? And then practically, what then actually happens in that scenario?
So let's say Radu enters, I don't know, Netherlands, for instance, as a market, right? And Radu has zero volume in the Netherlands. So from the history, when we started Sendcloud, we already had pre-negotiated rates with carriers. That's for one thing, but mainly to help actually starting businesses to grow in a certain market. So this is what we would do. We would say to Radu, hey, listen, Radu, this is what we actually advise you based on the goods that you sell. Mm-hmm. This is actually what succeeds with the products that you sell in terms of delivery, in terms of surcharges, for instance, mainly with bulky goods, and delivery experience and speed of delivery, for instance. Based on that, actually, Radu could experiment with those carriers. And once he has enough volume, right, he could get his own negotiated contracts with carriers with specified, qualities or services actually that are mainly applicable for him.
Interesting. Okay. So at some point, so you're actually offering carriage rates to smaller merchants, and then as they grow and develop, you then allow them to switch to their own rates. Yeah. It's like a very consultative sort of process. That's interesting.
But even with the bigger merchants, right? Not all the merchants want to. Even the bigger merchants want to experiment with certain carriers, and this is since COVID, this is like a big change that I see. Mm-hmm. Retailers don't want to be dependent on just one or two carriers, right? They want to have a whole fleet or different carriers to fall back to a certain solution, like Radu just told, right? He has a couple of carriers that he works with. If one fails, he can move to another one. This is actually what's happening more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's been a recurring theme in the sessions as well. It's I think although obviously retailers trust their carrier relationships, I think given some of the supply chain constraints that have happened because of COVID, or in the UK we're running out of fuel, thankfully. I think some of that paranoia is also leading towards rapid switching and carrier selection just in case, because you can't you can't let your service drop just because one particular carrier doesn't have enough drivers, for example. Okay, very interesting.
How is it actually then going in UK, for instance? Like retailers.
Like Brexit's been fantastic.
Yeah,
nice. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, it's been great. No problems at all. Yep. Why are you laughing? It's a disaster. But it's an absolute disaster. I did not vote for Brexit, for the record. But anyway, there's simply not enough European drivers. That's the problem. So actually a fuel crisis, there's just not enough drivers to man the trucks that are required, particularly with the uplift in supply chain demand through the COVID period. That's the biggest issue, actually. There's simply not enough drivers to get the fuel from A to B. Yeah. And then the other problem is British media has a penchant, like a very skilled talent at creating panic in the population. And it was just a bad story that went out to market one day where a particular journalist basically said that we might run out of food by Christmas, which is not true. And of course, all the other newspapers picked up on it. Before you know it, there's panic buying. Before you know it, I can't get diesel at my local petrol station. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
You shouldn't get diesel at all.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. No worries. We're digressing slightly, but perhaps on a bit further downstream. So carrier selection. Once you've partnered with a retailer, you've assisted them with that carrier selection. We've optimized the process in the warehouse. They've got plenty of options to switch around in case there's not enough drivers or they ran out of fuel. Once it's dispatched. Another big shift that I've seen over the past 5-7 years, the pre and post purchase is becoming much more important. So what's Sendcloud doing as related to, in particular, tracking analytics to assist your retailers?
What we mainly focusing on actually is to provide the right data to our merchants that they work with us, right? So we offer standardized notifications. Okay, that's fine, but what I see is that these bigger retailers actually have their own way of communicating and sending notifications, but what they miss, for instance, is the right status and the right data from the carrier to know what's actually happening with the parcel. So this is what we help with from the moment when they create a parcel till the moment it's actually delivered, delayed, or actually dropped off at a parcel shop. And after that, it's all the whole return process. Maybe a completely different topic, but as well, the way we actually ease the outgoing shipments and the easiness actually to offer the shipping options in the checkout, the same ease and experience should apply as well in the returns. And it's quite a big hassle still for a lot of retailers. Not only on the cost front, but as well on having the right insights on what is coming return, with which reason, to be more proactive instead of reactive. This is what we see like with smaller retailers or with bigger retailers. Receiving like your returns, not knowing from which customer it is. And then you lose probably the customer, right? And this is actually the way we help our customers to make that process automized as well.
Can I ask how? Like some specifics?
Specifically, to give you an example, maybe on the smartphone company as well. So in the Netherlands, it was quite good. It was covered, but when they went international, returns was quite a hassle. They wanted to, for instance, to know, if a customer wants to send back something like a smartphone case, but the smartphone case was not super expensive. Receiving the return would be more costly than actually letting the customer keep the product and that they would get the money back, for instance. Like these kind of automated rules to know, the customer wants to return this product.
Is it worth me receiving it back?
These kind of things. So they automated with these kind of processes or certain rules, right? The customer, let's say, wants to return like a product, I don't know, a MacBook or something like that. Mm-hmm. Not specifically this customer, but if a customer wants to return a specific product, do you want to check it, first before you actually allow the return? Mm-hmm. Like having this gatekeeper functionality. It's getting more like once we help them with optimizing it a little bit, it gets more in depth with specific things to have it more data insightful and know exactly what you want to have returned and what not, and directly act on the returns. So instead of waiting till the return comes in, that you, for instance, can already exchange it for another product or get in touch via sales, to upsell them or what else. Getting more interactive actually with the customer as well. So our retailer, but as well the end consumer.
Very cool. Very cool. What about you, Radu? Very customer-centric business in terms of tracking and returns. Any unique experiences?
Well, it's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 35% of our business is MDAs, we call them, so white merchandise. And one of our biggest luck is that this kind of goods don't get returned that much, because it's a fridge. If you power it on and it doesn't have something faulty from it when it was created, it's not gonna fault in 3 years or something. But with the smaller articles, well, it's very painful because some of them it's about education. Everything is about education. In our country, everybody is bragging about that 30-day return guarantee, free, and all those words. And we have them on their website, those beautiful words. But in fact, you cannot do that, man. Because you're buying something, you're using it for 30 days, and in a 29th day, you want to return it. I tell my customers and my friends from the very beginning, it's not going to happen. We're going to inspect that product until you won't be able to get it back. Because I don't want it after 29 days. Sorry, it's not enough.
Too bad.
It's too bad. Your money disappear from the economic circle in 29 days. I forgot I sold you something in 29 days. How can you? But this is not the beautiful thing. But we have returns that we really need to do because they're faulty. The products are bad. They get broken by the carriers sometimes. Well, it was last month, to give an example, we had 5,000 shipments and just 3 of them were damaged by the carriers. So the rate is utterly good.
But you need to pay the drivers even more, by the sounds of it.
We looked into President Biden, and what did he tell the people? Pay them more.
But how do you differentiate? So we're talking about potentially high value returns in a very specific vertical. How do you differentiate? I don't know. An unhappy housewife bought a lamp that she used for 29 days and decided on the 29th day she needs the money back versus a legitimate fault, for example. What process
how do we differentiate?
Yeah.
So it's about the return policy. First of all, if somebody wants to return something to our store, first thing we do is get them to read the return policy. And that will, if your mental health is okay, that will tell you, well, I don't need to do this. Because the amount of papers that you're gonna fill in, and the forms and emails, and just to be on the safe side, is painful. Then someone in our offices will evaluate that product. So you'll have a video call, you'll have photos, you'll have everything. And if the product is okay, and it's just, I'm not happy anymore with it, life is not happiness, man.
Too bad.
Too bad, yeah. But if the product is faulty, okay, we'll replace it. But you'll have the money in 14 days after you get us back the product, and we mostly sold it in 40 days. 14 days. Yeah, then that's the reality. And that's it. Somebody inspects it. It's a human interaction there, and I'm a bit afraid of that. Because when we scale up, I will need more people in those departments. More people cost more, and everybody's telling me, "Hey, AI," but okay, AI won't learn the housewife voice if she's just unhappy with the product or anything else. We need a human there.
That's a really interesting point you raised. I think we invested in an AI chatbot business as a company. And we're talking about different use cases in different verticals. Returns and Wismo management is one specific thing that he's dealing with and addressing. But then when you actually talk to the BPOs and the people that are managing the call centers, and you actually speak with them about what will feasibly be automated out. The sort of high emotion, high value type of calls will never get automated because you'll never get those customers back.
And
simply can't deal with them with AI.
I was just thinking, if my colleagues from the return department were to hear me right now, they would kill me, because this is very beautiful what I'm telling you, and that is very painful what we're doing over there. And sometimes I get on the floor where the operators are, and there are, Karens that want to talk to the manager, and I get over the headsets because I worked in college. I worked as a telemarketing agent myself, so I know I know the drill. And I get on the headset and I want to talk to a manager, and I say, "Ma'am, in this firm there is no higher authority than me." What now? No, I want to return. Why? Well, I'm sick of this product. You won't get a return. Bye. And that's it. You won't get it because someone has. For some customers, you cannot be that good every time. You know, because when I worked in the call center, we were paying penalties for every unfortunately word that we used. It was 10 euros. And I used 10 in a day. I felt that day, but it's not fair. You know, you're putting that agent in a situation where he cannot say anything, and there are impossible customers.
Hang on. Did you say you have a swear jar in the customer service center?
Yes.
Excellent. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And you're the biggest contributor.
Yeah.
Yeah, as would I be in my business as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Because whatever they're not able to tell the customers, I tell them, and then I pay. I come in once every week and put as much money as everyone put in 1 week. Yeah.
Okay. So your customer service kindness has an upper limit, and
yes,
the outlet is a swear jar. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a swear jar. Not even swear. It's just bad words. Unfortunately, 10 euros.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Pass the baton.
Yeah. Any further comments on returns process management and difficult customers, i.e. Karens?
Difficult customers, yeah. I'm not talking that much to difficult customers, actually, to be honest. But on returns processes, again, I think rather for your business, maybe that's different, but maybe a good example of how you actually can automate and have this full ease of returns is Coolblue, like a company here in the Netherlands. They sell a lot of bulky goods as well, but without the hassle. And I think for a lot of customers, offering a hassle-free return process gives them as well the chance actually or actually creates a chance for you to having them actually as a recurring customer. So what we see as well is that if the policy, for instance, you just mentioned, like, hey, if they go to a return policy page, they need to fill in all these kind of documents. Yeah, this is a headache. The chances then quite big. What we see is that the customer won't come back for a second time, because they know, hey, if I order here a product and I'm not happy with it and I need to return it, I need to do a lot of stuff before I get my money back. So offering like a clear return policy, this is again what we see in our markets that we researched, is so for the first purchase that a customer does on your website, as the first time that they buy something there, 75% of these customers is checking the return policy. And if it's not offered for free, for instance, or if it's a lot of documents that you need to fill in before you return it, or it's not mentioned at all, they will abandon actually the whole the whole buying process indeed. But offering it with ease, when I'm talking with customers, for instance, and I ask them like, okay, why don't you offer like a more transparent return policy? They are scared that they will receive more returns. But the thing is, it's quite biased, I think. What it creates actually is more trust. If you offer this transparency, they know like, hey, if the situation ends up bad for me,
100%.
I can return it back without having issues. And if you handle that correct, the chances are quite big that the customer will come back for the second time and will have more trust.
Like 5-6 years ago, that was probably one of the single biggest objections that I was getting from merchants on setting up returns processes was, well, we don't want any returns. Well, it's kind of like, too bad. That's what your customers want. Yeah. If you don't offer, like you said, transparency and ease of processing, they probably won't buy with you. And the example they used to hate is when you mention the A word and you say, when I'm buying high value items on Amazon, they've sent me 3 coffee machines that have been broken, right? And rather than collecting them, they literally just send you a new one under the product insurance policy. Yeah. Easy. That's really, really easy, and that's why I'll keep buying white goods with Amazon, because if they fail, literally, I don't even need to call them. I just tell them reasons for blah. They send me a new unit. I mean, I'm not saying every retailer can do that. It's not practical, but it's like, that's the benchmark, unfortunately.
And
on this return policy, we got a whole lot of messages from customers that are with us from the very beginning, like 3 months ago, and
yeah, actually, that's really impressive. You only started the business mid-year. Yeah, fantastic.
July. And they told us, well, people know us there, and I got something of a more visa waiver for the whole return policy. And then I started to think, and we're working on it right now. We want to develop something like a membership. And inside the membership, if you paid this in 1 year in advance, or 5 months in advance, or 3 months in advance, well, you will have free plans. And for every country that we're in, you get a magic return. And the magic return is that if you paid, I know you know about us. Yeah, I'm talking about now about what we're thinking when we're offering this. You know about us, you value us as retailers. You have been with us from the very beginning, and now you'll get a magic return. And magic return is you chat with our agents, you send them a photo, and we'll send you a new unit, and we'll get the broken one back.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that is something that we're going to offer. But that means a lot of data that we need to store and so on. And so the technical department is working on it, and the return policy will get better. But at this point, because we're 87% new traffic every day on our website.
Wow.
We get some people that are very cynical with us, and that is why we have to somehow protect ourselves with a more not so enduring return policy. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's really, really cool feedback. I think we're out of time. Normally, I'd offer some questions to the audience, but you all look like you need a coffee. So let's wrap this up. Thank you very much to our kind panel here, and thank you very much for joining our session today.
Thank you.
Cheers.